Hi,
Good evening.
Mika.
Hi, come in, come in, come in. Hi. So tonight we're going to talk about, again, the most common interview questions. We're going to talk about that. We have scenario questions, the ones that you guys probably hate, like tell me about a time where this happened or that happened, explain that kind of thing. You know how everybody hates those questions. So we have a format and a way we're going to answer those. And then we have a breakout time. So we have another group that's going to break out and give us a wonderful, wonderful story about the scenario questions. And then last but not least, we're going to wrap it up with a congratulations letter, and then we'll be done. We'll be done. Alrighty, so I really do hope that you have your note cards and your highlighter and your pen, because you're going to need it on this first one, which is the most common interview question. So you're going to need it. But before we do, there's got to be a warm-up, everybody. Everybody knows there's a warm-up. Put in the chat, if you don't mind, this is me testing your participation again. You posted last week, you were expecting what you were expecting out of the workshop. So post in the chat, what did you get from the workshop last week? Good. One person said, I learned what a good resume should not look like. Good. Okay. Resume modeling, how to have a resume that stands out, resume tips, and how it should have some structure. Okay. Good. Okay. LinkedIn tips. Good job. Good job. Any more? Yes, Edna. Sell your experience, not the process. Yes, yes, yes. That is like, I can't even explain how important that is. Cannot. That's right. Tell me more than what I asked for. It eliminates a lot of questions. It really, really does. Like when you give more than what they ask for, it eliminates a lot of questions. I remember when I went on the interview once before, my first face-to-face interview, and Ali always preaches definition, example, and more. Definition, example, and more, always. So when I went to the interview, I learned how to take over the interview because I gave more than what they asked for. And so then the guy who was all about SQL, because I applied for an SSRS job. And so there was the senior SSRS developer, he was there. The SQL developer, he was there. And then the IT director was there. And then there was the tech guy, because I had to do a quiz on the computer. And so then once the SSRS person had asked me his questions or whatever, the SQL guy started asking me a few questions regarding SQL. And my quiz that I had to take was all SQL as well. And so he started asking questions. So then I gave my definition, example, and more, and blah, 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 blah. And then I think he got down to like question number 3. And then finally he said, you know what? I had a whole list of questions to ask you, but I really don't want to insult your intelligence. So I don't have any more questions. That's all I have. And I was like, are you sure? Even though I kept saying to myself, Mika, hush, before he turned around and asked another question. But the fact that I gave him more than what he asked for, I was able to tackle a lot of the questions that wasn't even asked. So that was a good thing. Okay. Great info about how to structure your responses. Good. To have a story for every topic in mind. All right. So that's what you learned last week. So now we're going to move on to question number 2. All I want is the number. Okay. But what would you like the next workshop to be? Okay. What would you like your next workshop to be? 1, the fear of interviews. 2, resume building. But remember, this will be limited to certain audience. LinkedIn, or something else that's not listed. Okay. So I see quite a few ones. Oh my God. The fear of interviews. Oh, I know that's like the freaking worst. Like when I go, like Malika, when I go on interviews, girl, like I be sweating underneath my armpits. I be like, oh Jesus, like I be sitting there with tissue underneath my arm like this, girl. I be like, what? When I get off the call, I be like, what? My God. Yes, because believe it or not, even when I went on my interview that I had, I was still freaking nervous. Even though, I guess because it was a SQL interview, I don't know. I was nervous. But even though I had all of my questions and answers already ready, but it's just something about your nerves. Like, it's like, what if they don't like me though? So like all these things that runs in your head. I don't know. There's 1,000 ones on here. I knew you was gonna say one. I knew you was, girl. All right, I see a couple too. Some of them say resume building. Okay. And then some say LinkedIn. Okay. Okay. So I'm seeing, okay, I got a 4. So Nadira, I think that's how you pronounce your name, right, Nadira? What is 4? What is your 4? How to best prepare for a technical panel, right?
Yeah, that's what she like. Yeah.
I said the same thing.
So how to prepare for an on-site panel interview. You know what? I went on, huh?
I have that too.
Okay. You know what? I went on an interview and it was like in Austin. So I had to fly I said all the way, like Austin, it was like a 40-minute flight, 45-minute flight. So anyway, I flew to Austin from Dallas. It was like 45-minute flight. Went to Austin for an interview and I was prepared to speak to 15 people at one time. Like that really had me sweating for real, Malika. Like, whoop. They was like, would you like some water? No, because I might pee on myself. No, I don't want any water. Don't ask me if I want water. But it was like 15. I just told myself, I said, you know what? I'm just going to go in there. I'm just going to wing it. And if it happens, I'm a try. I'm a try, And it didn't start out with 15. It started out with like 3. And then someone would say, hold on, give me a second. And then they walk out and then they would come back with like 3 others. And by the time we got done, it was like all 15. So it was like all of them sitting on one side and the little old me sitting down at the end. And I was just like, okay, I don't feel ganged up on at all. Okay. Yay. So they did ask me a lot. This was an SSIS developer role. It was cool, whatever. Learned a lot. They asked me some really good questions, and it was on Halloween. So half of them came in dressed in their Halloween costume. So like, I really couldn't even take you serious because you're asking me questions about fecal, but yet you dressed like a zombie or whatever. Like I can't even see your face. So I mean, like it was different, Like Dr. No was there. I didn't even know who he was at the time, but I was like, "Who's Dr. No?" But my son knew who he was. So yeah, it was different, And I ended up taking over the interview because I ended up teaching them about SSAS. Who knows? So it was good. It was really, really good. I loved that. That was a wonderful, wonderful interview. That was one way. Like if I couldn't get over that, then I don't know. I felt like I could conquer the world when I left. I was so glad to be on that flight. And it was a 3-hour interview. So it was long. It was really long. They quizzed me right there on the spot. I had to actually write on the whiteboard. Yeah. So it was good though. It was really, really good. Really good. All right. Moving on. So now that we know, I'm glad you guys did learn quite a bit last week. I'm very, very glad. Ali did give me my props, because he saw all you guys' all you guys' rave reviews and things like that. He was like, okay, I give you your props. I was like, I know. I've been giving my stuff. So, so here we go. We're going to start off with the most common interview questions. Okie dokie. All righty. So you're going to need to get your 5 note cards. 5 note cards, 5 note cards, 5 note cards. You can put the topic or the question on one side, and you're going to need to put the answer on the other side. So we're going to talk about a few most common interview questions and things like that. I'm going to ask you, don't post right now, but I am going to ask you to post in the chat, what do you think is one of the most common interview questions? I just think one, but don't give me who is Cola Berry, tell me about yourself. Everybody knows that is one of the most top interview questions. But like if you were going for a Power BI question or if you were going for SQL, now if you put a Power BI question in there, I probably won't answer it because I don't know Power BI. Okay. But if you feel like that's going to help you, you definitely can, or I can put it in the chat PT or whatever it's called, and we can figure it out from there. Okay. But my thing is that I want you to think about, what do you think is one of the most common interview questions? And it could be a scenario type question. It could just be whatever type of question it is, scenario or non-scenario. And then what we're going to do is I'm going to pick one of them. I'm going to pick 5 of them out of the chat. And then I'm going to give you an answer for it. And so that way, if you can write the question on one side and put the answer on the back. And then the goal here is to memorize it. So that way, when you go to interviews, these 5 questions should be already known. But these are the most common, okay? So I'm only gonna pick the ones that I know for certain are the most common interview questions. It cannot be who is Colaberry. It cannot be tell me about yourself. Okay, question number one, what does your day-to-day look like? I will talk slow and I will repeat it several times if you need me to. So before I get started, Fabrice, how do you think I'm going to start off answering this question? So when I get to the interview, you know, I did my tell about yourself story. And then one of the people says, can you just, you know, walk me through your day-to-day. What's your day-to-day look like? How do you think I'm just going to start off? I'm not asking you to give me the answer. How do you think I'm going to start off?
So basically, you are going to reference at your company first and talk a little bit about what you do in the daily basis. That's how I see it.
By saying thank you for asking.
So the young lady was the closest one. I'm always going to allow my personality to shine. I'm never going to answer the question right out the bat. Remember that? Remember I said that last week. I am not going to start off answering the question. I am going to be personable and allow my personality to shine. Y'all remember that from last week? Okay. So go to an interview. The interviewer says, what does a usual day look like in Mika's world? Tell me about your day to day. And I'll probably be like, oh, well, as you probably already know, just being in this type of environment can be very, very chaotic. And then on another day, it could be very, very settled, very calm, right? Just really depends on what I have on my plate. Now, I'm not asking you to write this down, okay? Because this is just my personality. You always want to allow your own personality to shine. All right. So what I would say would be, after I say that, I will go, okay, so typically my day starts about, I would say roughly about 7:30, 8 o'clock at the latest. There is really no set schedule for me. Okay, so I'm letting them know, I'm speaking in first person, that there's really no thing for me. Like I'm going to start my day about 7:30, 8 o'clock. So tell them what time you start your day. I start my time about this time. I start my time around this time. There's no set time for me. Maybe I work from home. I don't know. Whatever you decide you want to do. Maybe you go into the office, talk about, that kind of thing. Like what time does your day start? Okay. Once I get there, before I do anything, that's even if I get tea, because I don't drink coffee. Again, that's not my personality to shine. I don't drink coffee because I really don't. All right. So I probably give me some tea, or maybe going to fix before I give me some tea, before I get a bagel. The number one thing I am checking is going to be my actual emails. Okay. My emails are very important. This is going to allow me to be able to figure out if anything came in overnight or any unexpected meetings that popped up that I was not aware of. Emails is always number one. Email is always number one. It is always number one. Okay. Email is always number one. Because even though I looked at this when I sat here at my desk about 30 minutes ago, I looked at my schedule. I was like, okay, I had a clear day. But I promise you, when I get back the next day, or when I get back here in the morning, I'm going to check my email, check my schedule to see if I have anything that popped up that might have done something, because they're on the East Coast. So when I sign on at 8, it's already 9 o'clock their time. So ain't no telling what they don't put on my schedule. Okay. Now, once I realize that I have nothing that has popped up on my schedule, nothing out of the ordinary, then I'm going to go and probably go and get me some tea, go get me a bagel, go downstairs and get me some breakfast or something like that. This is something you can do once you've reached that 3-month, when you've gotten pretty much used to your job without about 3 months, when you've gotten acclimated, because it takes about 3 months to get acclimated. So that's when you can really start feeling a little bit more comfortable. About month 3 is when you start feeling comfortable. Sorry if you thought it was going to be a week. It's not. It takes about 3 months. Okay. All right. Now, after that, if I don't have like any meetings or anything like that, then I'm pretty much just doing my day-to-day. I'm pretty much just checking for any tickets, any deadlines, any things that is priority that I need to get out that may need to be done, any deadlines that need to be met by the end of the week, end of the day, or whatever the case may be. Then that's what I'm working on. Now, if I do have meetings, I have to prioritize my day around my meetings, or prioritize my tasks around my meetings. And so I do have weekly meetings every single week. I meet only once a week, or you can say you meet every day. You can say that. So it's okay to give a time. It's okay to say roughly about 9:30 or so, we normally have our team meeting. So everybody should be here by then. So about 9:30 is when we have our team meeting. Okay, so about 9:30 is when you have your team meeting, because everybody's there by then. Okay. Now, whenever you're talking about your team meetings or your scrum meetings or anything like that, they do not last an hour. That is not realistic. It does not last an hour. Okay. Our meeting for us literally lasts about, I don't know, 15 minutes, if that long. That's how long mine lasts. But I have a PMO meeting every Monday. I have mine once a week, so mine is an hour because we only meet once a week. But if you're having one every day, that is your choice. You're not meeting for an hour every day. No one has that kind of time. Okay. So if you're meeting in your scrum meetings, those will last about 15 minutes. Like I said, if you have meetings, then you're going to prioritize your task around your meetings. Okay. If you do not have meetings, then all you're going to have to say is, after my meetings, then I'm just pretty much working on whatever task and deadlines that needs to be met. That is a chill day. Like, I'm sorry if you thought that it was going to be some extravagant, long, drawn out day. It's not. The IT world is real cool, calm, and collective, I promise you. Because to this day, I turn on my Alexa, I listen to my music, and I jam when I'm working. I do. When I'm in my groove, I'm not lying. When I'm in my groove, I got my Alexa going, and I am sitting here jamming, probably listening to a little gospel. I'm listening to when I'm feeling ratchet. I don't know. Maybe listen to a little Beyonce when I'm feeling ratchet. I don't know. Miss Carter. That's how I feel. So then they say I'm in here coding and I'm doing me, creating reports, blah, blah, blah. That's me. That's my whole day. Okay. I wish I could show you my schedule, but that's my whole day. That's it. Okay. And then at the end of my day, what I want to do, make sure is that you update any tickets or update any stakeholders that need to be updated. So that way they know what's going on throughout the life of the project. Okay. And then when you're wrapping up, you always want to take a look to see what you have that's outstanding. So that way you can prioritize your day for tomorrow. That's what your day-to-day looks like. I come in about 7:30, 8 o'clock. I don't really have a set time. And before I do anything like tea or bagels or anything, I'm going to check my email because my job is on the East Coast. I'm Central Time, so anything can pop up while in between the time I went to bed from the time they started and I have not, right? So if I don't have anything and nothing has failed or nothing like that, then yeah, I'm up. I'm getting me some tea, getting me a bagel. And for me, I'm in there making me some turkey bacon and some eggs. That's just me. Okay. That's what I do for real. Okay. And then after that, if I don't have any meetings, I'm just working and figuring out what deadlines need to be met. And that's what I'm working on. If I have meetings, I'm prioritizing my task around my meetings. And then at the end, I'm pretty much updating all of the stakeholders about what I've accomplished today and that kind of thing. And then I am basically looking at my schedule to see what tomorrow's going to look like. And like I said, don't forget, like for me, I only have a meeting once a week. For you, if you want to stay every day, then your meeting should only be about 15 minutes. In that 15-minute meeting, you're only just talking about what it is that you've accomplished and what blockers you may have. And if you don't have anything, then it is okay to say nothing for me today, because I say it every Monday. They say, Renee, do you have anything? Nope. It's a wonderful sunny day, 78 degrees here in Dallas, Texas. And I have no updates for you today. Thank you. That's what I say on Mondays. Because I say that, I give the weather because they are in Maryland. So they're cold. They're getting ice and snow. And I'm just like, yeah, it's a wonderful 78 degrees here. And they're like, oh, we're below 15. Yeah, that's you. It's, we're not. All right. That's a very, very, very common question. And that is your answer. You're checking your email. You have your meeting at 9:30, 10 o'clock, whatever time. If you don't have a meetings, then you're just working. If you do have meetings, then you're prioritizing your task. Maybe some part of your day, you're coding, another part of your day, you're in meetings, and then another part of your day, at the end of the day, you're just updating your tickets or updating the stakeholders about what happened, and then you are basically looking at to see exactly what your day looks like tomorrow.
Do you want me to send it to you, Mika? I found the email you sent me.
Yes, honey, because I just didn't want to put your email out there, girlfriend, so.
Okay, I'll send it to you.
Yeah, you can send it to me. Yeah, okay. All right, let me find another question. So that one's a good one, Malika. That's question number 1. What does your day-to-day look like? The difference between delete and truncate. Let's see. So tell me, okay, here's one. Tell me a project you are working on currently or a project that you are most proud of. Yeah, this question does come up quite a bit, especially like in the business intelligence world. This does come up, business intelligence analysts, because they're all about reporting. So this is something that comes up. So I would highly encourage you to write this one down. Tell me about a project you're currently you're working on currently, or a project that you are most proud of. This is really the time that you will start to show your project. I know somebody asked me, well, when do you know when to show your project without me just boom, here's my project, put it in their face, right? And so it's always a really good time to talk about your project. If they ask you a question, if they just ask you a question about store procedures or whatever, you can say something along the lines of, oh, I definitely have experience working with store procedures. Being in this field, that is something you unfortunately just cannot get around, right? But I do have some really good experience working with complex and non-complex store procedures. I actually have a report that I have where I can actually show you one of my complex store procedures that I've worked on, if you allow me to. Boom, guess what? You just introduced your project, okay? All right, now, when you're talking about a project you currently work on, this is when you start talking about your project. Don't be afraid to introduce your project. Show your project. Don't be afraid to show it. Think about it whenever you're doing like the CAP competition or the data talent showcase or things like that. That's the reason why we have it, so that way you're not afraid to talk about your project. But this is because you've been working on it for so long and doing all of this stuff, you're very comfortable with your project. So this is the time to allow your confidence to shine when you're talking about their project. Get them asking questions about your project. Allow the interview to be all about your project. And because you're so familiar with it and so confident in your project, that the interview will go well, because you're talking about something you know. Does that make sense? So when you're talking about your project that you're currently working on, talk about your project that you're working on in Colaberry, okay? It could be something, you can tell them this is something personally that I did, or you can say it is something that you did for Colaberry. That is your choice. Don't make it difficult. Okay, don't make it difficult. Just because we work with clients, it does not mean you have to work with every client. You could have just assisted on it or whatever, or this could just be a personal project that you wanted to do on your own. They may ask you, where did you get your data set? I don't know. Wherever Ali asked y'all to get your data set from. Maybe you bought it. I don't know. It's for you to figure out, but to be creative. But when they're talking about, tell me about your project that you currently work on, or a project that you are most proud of, this is the time to talk about your project and allow it to show. So question number 2.
Mika, I have a question about this one.
Mm-hmm.
So do we have to only just share the project, or like, because I have been in the CAP competition, like, can we just share the PowerPoint or just go through the project?
I don't recommend the actual PowerPoint presentation. I don't. I prefer an actual project, because sometimes, Malika, they will ask you, hey, do you have a project that you can share when you come to the interview? And I don't think they want to see a PowerPoint presentation. Okay. So it is okay to share your project. As long as you're not showing like the actual query and the data itself, you're fine. But you can show like all the things that it can do and that kind of thing. But just don't. If they ask to see more like data and stuff like that, don't be afraid, Malika, to tell them that unfortunately my company is not going to allow me to, because maybe they made you sign an NDA where you cannot and give that information out. I know when I started working here, I can't display any Colaberry's data from the database and things like that. So as long as you're not showing like the database and the data mart, you ETL data warehouse people, then you're fine. But it's okay to show your package. It's okay to show your project. I don't think they want to see the PowerPoint presentation.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Is it okay to present the project like you can talk about projects that you worked on with Colaberry and then say, well, I've created something just to give you an idea of what I can do. And, because of a HIPAA or whatever, I can't actually show actual data, but I can just show you something I've done.
Exactly. I would highly encourage you to do that. You can say, hey, I made something just for this interview. You know what I'm saying? Like, it is okay. I'm not able to show because of the data or whatever, but I knew I was having this interview with you guys. And so I created something just for this interview. Right?
Yeah.
That shows them that you're fast. Even though it might have taken you 3 months, because Ali is forever for his critiques. You see what I'm saying? But even though you're working on that, but they don't know. So maybe this is something you just say, hey, this is something I just put together because I knew I was having this interview and I want to have something to show, right? It's okay to do that.
All right. Can I also ask one question? I'm sorry. Mm-hmm. So I'm an overthinker. Would they possibly ask, like, why are you working on this specific topic for your project? Like, let's say I'm doing malaria. Or like, why does this company need to work with malaria? Like,
all right, yeah. So you are an overthinker. But yes and no. Most times, no. But I'm gonna put it like this: if you say that you work for Uber and your project is on malaria, you better just say that this is something personal. Okay, this is your personal project. Okay, because yes, that. I mean, do you get it? Like, if you're kind of similar, like if you work in the insurance industry, and then maybe your project is on malaria or whatever, then no, they probably won't bring that up. You see what I'm saying? But if you're working for Uber and your project is on malaria, then yeah, 9 out of 10, they're probably going to ask you, how in the heck did you get on that project? You know what I'm saying? So you just got to make sure that if you know that your project does not match any of the industries that you may have listed on your resume, or maybe here at Colaberry you want to talk about, use one of our clients, but if you don't want to do that, then just say it's your personal project. Okay, if you don't want to come up with a story, just say it's your personal project.
Okay, and would you recommend that we create a new one, or?
No, I don't recommend that you create a new one. No.
All right, thank you.
All righty. This one says, can you talk about ticketing and tracking programs, apps like Jira? Yes, you can, because this is a very common question that does come up as well. What ticketing platform do you currently work with? Or what agile platform are you currently working on or working with? This is very important, and it is a very common question, and it was asked of me when I went to the interview with this company right here. Okay. So question number 3. Question number 3. Can you talk about ticketing, tracking programs, apps like Jira? Okay. So I'm not going to word it like this, but what type of ticketing platform are you familiar with or currently using with your company? All right, question number 3. What type of ticketing platform are you familiar with or currently using with your company? All right, so the one that I know, the 2 that I know is Monday and Jira. Jira I think Jira is a wonderful, wonderful ticketing platform. I know Jira like the back of my freaking hand. Okay, but yes, if they do ask you that, the way you would answer that question, if they say, what type of ticketing platforms are you familiar with or currently using with your company? You can say, well, currently with the company I'm at right now, make sure that you do your research, because ticketing platforms are used with just about almost every company. I suggest you have an answer for this. Okay, maybe they will ask you, maybe they won't, but maybe you won't know until you get there. I suggest that you always have this question in your pocket, okay, just in case. So for me, I would probably say, okay, well, the company that I'm currently with right now, we actually use Jira. I like Jira because it's great for waterfall and it's also great for agile. Right. So currently, while I'm here at Berkeley Entertainment, my day-to-day, I use Jira for waterfall. It allows me to be able to see the task from beginning to the end, from the time it was created. This is where within the ticketing platform, the business analysts are able to open up the ticket, write the information, attach the documents, about business requirement document, screenshot. Oh, I guess my love didn't like it. Screenshots and all of that. Right. And then after that, you can see where it's been assigned. If it needs to go back, you can follow the process throughout without even me having to ask you, where are we in this project? Only time I would ever have to ask where we are in this project, and that's if someone doesn't notate it. Right. And then, at one point, we were actually working on a large project together. And so we did actually use it for, we use Jira for the agile environment. So we use it just like we would with the waterfall. It's just that we use the Kanban side where it allows us to be able to see all of the sprints and all of that. I really do like Jira. I think Monday is a really good one because I had access with that one. I've had the opportunity to work with that when I was with Wells Fargo. So I did like it, but if I had to choose, I would have to say Jira is one of them. So I know you asked me, but when I start working here, what ticketing platforms are you guys will we be working on currently? Put the ball back into their court. Know what type. So my thing is that either look up Monday, look up Jira. You can use Basecamp if you like. It is okay to say Basecamp. It's just that a lot of companies don't know Basecamp, but you can say Basecamp. Basecamp is fine as well, since you know it.
I think Kofi has said the same thing. Like we can mention Basecamp because I think it's a good, it's kind of similar to other ticketing systems. So it's like it's no problem in mentioning it.
Exactly, it's not a problem. My thing is that I know like my Basecamp or whatever, I don't really use it that often, but but like this is my Basecamp. And so whenever I'm doing something, I can see when something is assigned to me. Like I said, I don't really use it too often because, you know, I'm the kind of person that once I create something, I'm pretty much done with it. But these are all of my things that I've done when I, you know, when I do my stuff or whatever. But you have like, I closed that one because I don't think I did anything with it. Like this one right here, you have like all this information, who it needs to be assigned to, who's a subscriber, all that stuff. Like you got the dates. I'm trying to find a good one. Let me see. I think this is a good one. When I created the Super Mentor, I had to create the Super Mentor. I had to give the information. I had to figure out the pay range and stuff like that. I had to create tickets, so create the training on the app, Super Mentor training video. I had to do all of that, create a ticket for the pay, Super Mentor orientation. With that, I had to then come in within that actual ticket. I assigned it to myself. I put the notes in here, what I wanted each one to be. I know I needed to create like an orientation document, a video, a motivation video. I had to do the orientation lab. So I had to create the document, attach it here, do the screenshots where I create the video, did the Basecamp stuff, all the orientation videos, motivation videos. I had to create the lab for the Super Mentors. So all of this stuff is located here. So it's just like Jira, it's just that you don't see it move from one side to the next. You know what I'm saying? But I had to create the document for them to do the lab. So the difference with Basecamp is that everything flows downward, where in Jira, everything flows, you know, going side to side. Like you see it go from, you can see where it says in progress, and then, or unassigned or assigned, and then move to in progress, then move to testing, then move to development, to production. You can see it move what stage is in when you got Jira, versus with Basecamp, I have to read through all the documentation. I have to read through all of that in order to see what's going on. Does that make sense? And I know they don't like me doing this a lot, but sometimes I'll be having to go off on people in Basecamp. So, you know, I'll be like, Mika, calm down. But, you know, sometimes I just do. So we have our to-do section, you know what I'm saying? And so whenever I'm working on something or whatever, sometimes these tickets can be very, very, very long. So, you know, you got all of this stuff. I was talking to him about the coding and how it needed, you know, how it needed to look. And then Ali came in and he chimed in and his ticket. So in order for me to figure out what's going on, I have to read through all this. So that's the only issue I have with Basecamp. Versus with Jira, I can see where it is throughout the process without me having to really read it. So that's that. Let me go back to my.
Can I ask you to repeat this the answer to the last question again?
So what type of ticketing platform? Okay.
Yeah,
so the type of ticketing platform, I would basically just say, I just think with any company, having a really good ticketing platform is always a good thing, because you can always see what's going on throughout the life of any task or any project. So currently the company that I'm working with right now, which is would say Berkeley, which is Colaberry, and said we actually use Jira. Jira is awesome. We use it for waterfall and for agile. So for my day-to-day task, waterfall. It is wonderful for waterfall. The business analysts, they create the tickets, they attach the business requirement documents, they attach any screenshots, whatever notes that needs to be transformed to me, it's there, right? And then I can see it move from unassigned to assigned to development to QA, which they're doing the testing, peer review, whatever, over on clean to production. And then we also, whenever we were working on a major project, it's great for Agile as well, because I'm using the Kanban side. So I can see all of the sprints and all of the notes that's taking place and everything is broken down. And so it's just a really, really good, a really, really good ticketing platform that I would always highly encourage any company to use. Now, this is when you can also talk about another one if you would like, but if you want to go ahead and end it, then you can say, once I start working here, like what ticketing platform are you guys currently working on right now? And then put the ball back into their court.
Yeah, Mika, just to feed off or piggyback off of what you said, I think Tamisha, she showed us like actually what she used at work, and it was a Kanban, like similar to what you said you use. But I forgot the software though, the name of the ticketing system. But it was cool because they have like a diagram where they can see when it's in QA, and if once it passes QA, if it gets rejected and it goes back to the developer, it's like a developer queue and a production queue. But it was a pretty cool ticketing system. So, but I have to ask her what it was. I forgot the name of it.
Okay, cool.
Actually, I have like someone that just got hired and they use Basecamp. And I had an interview, I used Basecamp. Basically, how do we use Basecamp to manage our projects? Just refine that a little bit.
Is it Kanban? Because that's...
No, you just use it how we use it to manage the project from end to end. When you do your project, we use Basecamp. And it's something you're familiar with. Just take what Mika's saying about Jira, apply it to Basecamp and say Basecamp. It's fine.
So
because when you don't know, like if you're trying to say Jira and you've never used it, you've used Basecamp to manage your project.
You use Basecamp. So with Basecamp, basically there's going to be a list. So the project is monthly launch. Ali came to me, Davion, and says, Mika, I want to help you and I want to be able to take the launch and automate it. So that way you're not having to host these sessions and yada, yada, yada. So that's what he said. He says, I want to be able to automate it for you. That's what he told me. He said, but in order for me to automate it, I need to know what all that you do within the launch and things like that. And I need you to create a list and then create a ticketing platform for me to be a ticketing system. So that way I can add to it or whatever I need to do. I said, cool. So what I did was I created a list because the monthly launch was the actual project. That's the project. Okay. And then you're going to create tasks within that project. Does that make sense? Okay. So let's see. So when you click on it, you're going to basically open that task. And then you're going to say a launch information for the database because I needed the database to be able to talk to Basecamp and talk to the app and all this other stuff, blah, 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 right? I needed the database to talk to the app. Okay. So I ended up creating this. I assigned it to Mahi. I needed to be notified when it was due. And then I put the notes and then I attached the monthly launch. I said, this ticket is information about information that I have that allows me to see who's a part of the launch. My Excel sheet tells me the month and year, so that the batch that they were launched in and that kind of thing. The consultant's first and last name, I told him about the Excel sheet. The consultant's email, I'm giving him all this information inside of this task because I needed him to create a database to be able to capture the consultant's first name, the last name, the consultant's email, the mentor's name, the mentor's email. So I needed him to create a database, and that was going to house tables that was going to allow me to see anybody who was part of this launch. That's what I needed first. I needed that database created first, so the database and the tables could talk and pull the data from the app.Colaberry whenever you guys start doing the launch automatically through the app. That way I don't have to manually add anything. Anything that you do through the app now talks to the database, but I needed the database to be created first. So that was the first ticket I created. Okay, so that's what I did. I created the monthly launch, which is a list in database, in Basecamp. And then after that, I created tasks for the development team to start working on things. And I told him, I need you to create a database. Okay. And then after that, I told him what all the stuff needed to do, employment management screen, like all of this stuff. I needed the tables, what I want the table to, I like all of this stuff had to be in the ticket, all of it. Okay. All right, and then I started talking about what we want, and that's what you do. And then once they fixed it or they did what they had to do, he'll come back and says, Mika, why don't you test it? Then I test it, and then I say, okay, this is fine, but this is what I think. Now I want you to bring the plus sign back beside the task. I'm telling you all the things that I want done. So as this is going on, all of this is happening within the ticket. So it doesn't get closed until the database is created and there are no bugs and everything works perfectly. And then I close the ticket.
Okay, but as far as what type of agile this is, would you consider this Kanban, like the Basecamp setup?
No. So my thing is that you can tell them that this was broken into different sprints. So like if you want, you can say, let me do one that I know, and then we got to move on to the next one.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
That's okay, no worries. I just don't want this to be part 3 of 3. Let me see. Okay, so the monthly launch automation. Okay, so again, I created something on my side, even though I was a development side and I created tickets for them, but I also had to create tickets for myself. So I created a monthly launch automation within the data analytics management team. Okay. And what I did was I said that I needed to make sure that I create brand new documents, videos for the messaging approval, Colaberry sample, all this stuff. But I had to break all this down into sprints because there was no way I was going to be able to do all this within 6 weeks. I knew I wasn't.
What does sprints mean? Like actions?
It's just time periods. It's just the time period.
Okay.
Okay. So instead of me saying within 6 weeks, we're just saying within that sprint because the sprint may only be 6 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, whatever. Okay. So for me, I have this monthly launch. This is the project name, the monthly launch automation, because everything was going to be automated. All right. So what I ended up doing was creating tasks within this actual project. And if you want, you can take each one of these and turn them into sprints. So that means you got, this can be one sprint, this can be another sprint, this can be another sprint, okay? So let's take a look at the launch orientation real quick. So within the launch orientation, let's just say, Davion, that you are on the business analyst team and Malika is on the development team. And let's just say she's SSRS or reporting. And then we have Mary, who's part of the SSIS ETL data warehouse. Okay, let's just say that for green. Okay, so I created the monthly launch is the actual project for the entire IT department. Okay, so I ended up creating the launch orientation that is going to be my task. But I'm actually going to break this launch. Each one of these tasks are broken into sprints. So I think there's like 10 of them. So it's 10 sprints. Okay. So that means that I said I need to create a launch orientation document. I need to create a launch orientation video. I need to create a motivational video. I need to create a lab. All of this needs to be done within 6 weeks. Davion, you're going to be in charge of making sure that you get the launch orientation document. That is going to be your job. Mary, who's over ETL SSIS, you're going to be in charge of motivational videos. Malika, you're going to be in charge of the orientation video. And then maybe my BA team or another team is going to be part of the lab. Okay. Or maybe I'm in charge of the lab. We all have different tasks within this task. And it all has to be done within 6 weeks. Now, I'm telling you what I need you to do. I'm saying right here, the orientation document telling you everything that needs to be inside of this orientation document. Okay. So that's my thing. you are basically can do all of this inside of the actual, and I don't have to title it launch orientation, or I can, and I can just put launch orientation -sprint 1, and I can say that. And we all know that we're only going to be working on just this task simultaneously for this sprint. Once that 6 weeks is up, that means the document should be done, the video should be done, the motivational video should be done, and the orientation lab should be complete, all within 6 weeks. Once you're done, guess what? Boom, you can check it, it's done, and the ticket is done. Next thing you know, now that's done, we move on to the second sprint, which will be in like 6 weeks. We move on to the cold berry sandwich. And then I'm telling you the same thing, what I want to see in this ticket. That's how you can use Basecamp as a sprint or as Agile. And every day in your update, you're going to basically say, well, Malika would probably, like I said, she was in charge of video. So she had, in her update, she'd be like, well, I'm still waiting on Davion to finish the document. I can't record video if I ain't got the document, right? So she just threw you under the bus. Everybody's like, okay, Davion, what's your blocker? What's taking you so long to create this document? And for you, it could be, well, I still don't have access to this website, or I mean, not to this source, or I don't have access to this, or I'm still waiting for the source to get back to me, or this doesn't work, or so-and-so is on vacation and I have to wait for her to get off vacation. You never know, okay? But that's how you use Basecamp to be able to use it as an Agile platform. All right,
and
let's move on to the...
You can think about it, like I was gonna say, for us who have done the project, take the stress test 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, break them into sprints and talk about that.
Mm-hmm.
And how you manage the process. That's it.
Question number 4. Nobody else have any? What is your setup at work? Do you do the BRDs or do you have a BA to do that? Okay, so another really good question that is asked of you is keep talking about Agile and Waterfall. One of the typical questions that is always asked, especially in the business intelligence world, if you ever apply for a business intelligence job, one of the questions will be, which one do you prefer, Jira or Agile, and why? That is a very common question. Which do you prefer over the other, Waterfall or Agile, and why? All righty. So I think I talked about this last week where I told you I really prefer Waterfall over Agile. But a lot of people do say Agile because they don't know what Waterfall is, or they don't feel comfortable talking about it. So remember, I did show you exactly how you can do your research and go in to check to figure out which one, what are the pros and the cons of using Waterfall and Agile. So I don't really have to go into definition about that one, but it is something that comes up a lot, especially in business intelligence world. If you ever get asked to an interview question for business intelligence, please have this question already answered in your mind, because 9 times out of 10, they're going to ask you, because it is very important in the business intelligence world.
I don't know the difference, Mika. Could you just be brief?
I can definitely be brief. So with Waterfall, you know how Waterfall flows down, right? So that means that one ticket, or shall I say one thing, cannot be done. I'm not gonna say ticket. One action cannot be done until the one before that is done, okay? So business analyst creates the document, business requirement document, gathers all the requirements. Development team is just sitting there because I can't do anything because I don't have a business requirement document, okay? I don't gather my own requirements. I don't do any of that. That's the business analyst job. Once business analyst does all of that, attached to the ticket, they assign it to you as a developer. Guess what? Now the business analyst is completely done. Now the development can start. Once development is done, it moves on to QA. Developer is done. But what if QA says something is wrong? They send it back. QA testing stops. It goes back to development. Testing will continue to wait until they are done. So you cannot do anything until the one before it is done. That's how it goes. It waterfalls. It flows down. Agile is where you gather your own requirements, okay? So everything that you would do, waiting for the business analyst, waiting for the QA, all that, no. You do it all on your own. You gather your own requirements. You pretty much do all the planning and the implementation and the development. You're doing your own testing, and you're also going to send it off, deploy it for go live date. So that is going to be agile. So you're basically all working at the same time. Business analysts are doing their own stuff. Developers are doing their own stuff. QA are doing all their own things, and we're all on the same sprint. But remember what I just said in that last one. Remember when I said Devion was part of the business analyst team, but it was his job, even though we were all working on that same project, it was his job to do his part. And then Malika had her part that she had to do, which was the video. But maybe she wasn't just sitting around waiting on him. Maybe she had to figure out, was there another video that was out before? Let me take a look and see what that video used to look like. Maybe I want to implement it. How am I going to create this video? How long does the video need to be? This is all what Malika needs to do. She needs to gather her own requirements. So everybody is working at the same time, gathering their own requirements, working on their own task within one task.
It's a great explanation. Thank you.
You're welcome. And I also have, one second, I also have a video where I walk you step by step on the difference between waterfall and agile. And I actually talk about a project from beginning to the end on how agile actually works. So I can get you that video.
Yes, Mika, I was going to ask, is it right to say that waterfall is best to use when we have a projects that have dependencies in their tasks? Like for instance, in construction projects, most phase of construction is dependent on others. So if you have a project like that, would you say that it's best to use waterfall instead of using agile?
I would say the best time to ever use a waterfall is pretty much for your day-to-day tickets, okay? Because they have deadlines, okay? So when you're on a tight deadline, I always recommend a waterfall, okay? The only thing about it is that at the end of the day, if they want to make any changes, it starts back over. It has to go back through business analyst. It's always more expensive than an agile. So I would say, yeah, it is for your type of example, but I would always say waterfall is really, really good for your day-to-day task, or if you're on a really tight deadline. Whereas in agile, the project is extended out for months. Have you ever seen where they say we're looking for someone for a 6-month contract to hire, or just a 6-month contract because the project is only going to last 6 months. So agile, they have long projects and long due dates, and due dates may be a year from now, 6 months from now, 9 months from now. You see what I'm saying? So agile is always good because it is less expensive, because it is the project manager has it down to the T, how long, how many hours it's going to take, how much it's going to cost, whether or not we need to bring in someone, whether we don't need to bring in someone, that kind of thing. And then the stakeholders are always involved throughout the life. So if they see it and they says, yeah, that looks good, but can you add a parameter in there? And then so it's already being done within that sprint. So that way, when you get to the end, that go live date, it's already completely 100% done, versus with waterfall, they can make changes and then it has to start the process all over again. So yes, to your question, yes, you can, but I always say that waterfall is good if you're working on a tight deadline. Agile is good if you're working on a massive project with an entire IT team and it's months from now. And if you feel like the end user needs to be involved, Agile is going to be the way to go. Alrighty, and then last question. Question number 5. What are your weaknesses? Yes, I know y'all didn't think I was gonna leave that off. Come on now, y'all knew that was a commonly asked question. What are your weaknesses? And I've said this 1,000 times. So Kenya, what do I always say on how to answer what are your weaknesses? What do I always say?
You always say get a weakness, but turn it into a positive.
Okay. Get your strengths. Get your strengths and make your strengths a weakness. So that way they'll be amazed. This is supposed to be a strength instead of a weakness. So.
Okay. Exactly. So you were close, Kenya. So you take your strength and make it seem like it's a weakness in your eyes, because they're not gonna, Kenya, they're not gonna say the weakness of strength. Listen, cocaine may be addictive to you, but it may not be addictive to me. I don't know. Maybe I can handle cocaine. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? So what I'm gonna be So what I'm saying is, what may be a strength, take a strength and then make it seem like it's a weakness, because everybody has different weaknesses, right? So they're not going to say that's not a weakness, it's a strength. To you, it's a strength for you, but maybe it's not for me. You know what I'm saying? Like for me, don't get me wrong, I work out. You know what I'm saying? I go to hot work. That's why my hair is looking a mess, because I done sweated my daggone perm out, done rolled up these BDBs in the back. But you know, I done tied down my headscarf, my little silk scarf, but that's all right. Listen, what I'm saying is that even though I work out, I have a pre-workout stuff that I take, and I get on the bicycling thing, the Peloton, and I'm getting it, and I done got a good workout. But let me go to the mall and see that Great American cookie. Let me go to the mall and see that chocolate chip cookie. That is my kryptonite. I'm not going to lie to you, because I'm going to give in every time. And I'm not going to just get just one. I'm going to get that buy 5 and get 1 free. I'm going to do it. Okay. And then I'm going to sit here on a Saturday afternoon and watch my Lifetime and eat all 5 of these cookies. That's a weakness for me. It may not be a weakness for you. Do you see what I'm saying? What may be a weakness for me may not be a weakness for you. Okay. So that's what you do, is you take your strength and make it seem like it's a weakness in your eyes. Okay. So the way to answer this question, if they may say, what's one of your weaknesses and how have you overcome it? Right. So for me, you got to think about it. You know, you got to play this little skit. You be like, don't act like you already know. Don't act like you already had a praise on your tongue already. You just wait. Don't just give it out already. You got to wait. Even if you already got the answer, but you just wait. A weakness. Okay, so one of my weaknesses is, and this is what I don't want you to do. That's a really good question. I hate when people do that. Like, please don't do that. Like, I hate when people say, that's a really good question. Don't do that. Okay, don't do that. I hate when I say, hey, Davion, I'm finna go to the store. You want some? Oh, you finna go to the store? Didn't I just say that? Didn't I just say I was finna go to the store? Like, I hate when people repeat me. Right? So don't say, that's a really good question. Just think about it. Even though you already got the answer, think about it. And then you can say, oh, weakness. Okay, I definitely got one. Okay, so for me, I would have to say my weakness would be is the fact that I don't know how to take time off. I don't know how to have that work-life balance. My thing is that I enjoy what it is that I do for a living. And once I get into the groove, I get going. And next thing you know, I'm working and I'm coding. And my thing is I like to see things through all the way. And my kids be like, Mom, you gonna eat? You right. Here I come. So my thing about it is that I have to know when to say when, because I'm always that person that's, if something needs to be done, I'm the first to volunteer. Or if something is wrong, I'm the first one to fix it. And my thing about it is that maybe I don't allow other people the chance to step up and take that initiative. But because I love my job so much, I just want to always see things work out. I want to see things through. And sometimes that can spill over into the night. And so I just need to make sure that I'm able to balance that work life, have that balance between work and life, because I just need to know when to say when, right? And that's the way for them, they heard someone who is passionate about their job. They heard that I'm the person that's going to work. I'm taking that first initiative. I'm always volunteering. I'm always trying to see things through. That's what they heard. But to me, it was a weakness. Okay. So even though it is good to say that, yes, I'm the first to take on something, yes, but then I turned around and just made it seem like it was a weakness, because I said I need to learn to know when to say when, and to basically be able to balance work and life, because I have children, so don't be afraid to include just a snippet of your personal life. Say, I got kids and I got to learn to balance it. And this is probably where I would probably throw in, my son plays basketball, and, I got to make games. So I really do need to work on that work-life balance. I need to be there for him. It's okay to throw in just a snippet of your personal life.
I've been asked that, and I have said I tend to overanalyze things, which can be kind of good in this position, because, well, at times it can lead you down a rabbit hole, but And some it
I
can
do
be
that
good.
same thing. Like Mika, it's funny you said that because I'm one of the type of people just to make like small conversations. I'll see you cooking some pancakes. I'm like, oh, you cooking pancakes?
You know what I'm doing. No.
I'm one of them people.
Yeah, so that is your weaknesses. Those are your 5 questions. So write them down. They're all the questions are in the chat. Write them down, okay? And don't you worry, I gave you guys some party favors. Yes, I did. I gave you guys some party favors. Bam. I gave you guys some party favors. Yes, I did. So handout number 3, most common interview questions. So the most common interview questions for SQL are all right here. Most common interview questions for business intelligence is all right here. Most common interview questions for Power BI, you're welcome. And then most common interview questions for data warehouse and ETL. Click people in Tableau. Because it's so very few of you, I did not include that. But if you do need it as a click in Tableau, please let me know, and I'll be more than glad to send you 15 top interview questions for click in Tableau. I apologize. So this will be given to you. So I would say take 5 at a time, okay? And then just go through them. I'm not asking you to sit down and know all of these at one time, but it's okay. Just take like the first 5. Maybe you take 1 from each. And even though my Power BI people, you're saying, well, I'm not data warehouse ETL. That does not mean they're not going to ask you no ETL questions when you go on an interview. That does not mean that. Okay, so it is okay to be familiar with it. It is okay to have a question for it. Have an answer for it. Okay, how do you optimize the performance of an ETL process? I remember that question. That's when I knew I had bombed the hell out that interview in that first one. Okay, so my thing is that now, my ETL data warehouse people, I'm not saying that you got to know Power BI, because if they're data warehouse and you already told them that I don't do Power BI, then I get it. I'm not going to know how to answer that. But my Power BI people, I'm not saying that they're not going to ask you ETL questions, because they just might. They may ask you some data warehouse questions. Okay, so these are a few things that you can just use. Just take 5 at a time. This is how I used to study. And I would just say, can you explain the difference between primary key and foreign key? Somebody actually put this in the chat. You know what I'm saying? How do you update and delete data in a table using SQL? This is very important for you SQL developers, okay? How do you write a query to select unique values from a table? These are very common questions in a SQL interview question, okay? And then remember, ladies and gentlemen, even though Power BI pays well, SQL developer is the 2nd highest paid developer in the field. Just thought I'd let you know. Okay. All right, so I'll give this to you at the end of this session. Yay! All right, moving on. This one lasted a little bit longer than I anticipated. Hey, I appreciate you guys' participation. All right. Scenario-based questions, the ones that we just love so much. These are the ones that start with, tell me about a time when, don't you just hate that? You'd be like, oh, see, I ain't even got no story. See, so I got you. Okay? All right. So for your scenario-based questions, you want to follow the format, which is called STAR. Okay? STAR. It's wonderful. So in the STAR, you're going to talk about your situation. You're going to talk about the task at hand, the action and results. Make sure you pay attention, because we have an exercise for this thingy. Yes, we do. Okay, I'm going to try my hardest not to call on the same people, but you guys were so hilarious last time. But I'm going to try my hardest not to do it. Okay, so for scenario-based questions, the best way to answer these questions is by using the STAR. The first one is S for situation. You don't have to write this down, because I actually do have a handout for you, and all this information is on here for you as well. But this is your choice. Okay. So you have situation. You want to describe your background in a context of the specific, of the specific experience you're discussing, which means you also want to give information like what kind of role, who were you dealing with, what the goal was, what was the freaking situation, or what was the problem. My good old friend Fabrice said if the son wanted a peanut butter jelly sandwich, he had to go to the store. The problem was the son wanted a peanut butter jelly sandwich and he ain't had nothing, so he had to go to the store. That was the situation. So now we got a task. The task was explaining what you were responsible for in that situation. Okay, and what you need to accomplish. This is always the best way to answer scenario-based questions, because you're giving me the situation, you're putting yourself in that situation, that means you're selling me your experience, okay? The actions that you took, and then what was the results of it? What was the situation? What tasks did you have to achieve? What actions did you take? And what was the results of that action? And you're probably saying, well, Mika, I still need a little bit more. I mean, I hear you, but I still need a little bit more. Don't worry about it, I got you. So here we go. Tell me about a time where you worked as part of a team. This is a very common question in business intelligence analyst position. Tell me about a time when you worked as part of a team. What was the situation? I was part of a cross-functioning team working on a large-scale marketing campaign for a major client. Okay. What actions did you take? As a member of the team, I contributed my expertise in data analysis and market research. I worked closely with my team members to gather and analyze data and target demographics and consumer behavior. I'm not saying that you have to say all of this. I just want to really know what was the actions that you took. So Fabrice said that his problem, the situation is that his son wanted a peanut butter jelly sandwich, but he didn't have the things that he needed. So he ended up having to go to the store. Okay, so the task at hand, the task was to develop and execute a campaign. So his son, what he needed to make sure that he was able, the task was he had to make sure that he was able to make his son a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. The situation was he needed to make his son a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, but he didn't have no bread, no jelly, no peanut butter, whatever it was, he didn't have it. Okay, so he had to come up with the task. The task was I needed to make it. So what actions did he take? He got his tail up and he took his butt to the stove and he ended up going to the dadgum stove. Even though he was faced with a problem, with the challenge, because that baby said, oh Lord, when I got there, it was Skippy, it was Jiffy, it was Peter Pan. And then once he figured that out, was it crunchy? Was it smooth? Was it organic? Like he had all these challenges, but he had to make sure that he analyzed his actions and talked about the actions. He got up, got in his car, he went to the store. Even though he was faced with a challenge, he made a decision, picked up the peanut butter, picked up the jelly. He did everything he needed to do. The results was he came home, he made the peanut butter. He did not say he cut the crust off because I'm a person who cut the crust off. And then he gave it to his son. And the fact that what the results was the smile that his son had on his face made him realize I did a good job and it was worth it just to see my son with a smile on his face eating his peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Nobody, neither one of the peanut butter or the jelly team talked about milk. Ain't nobody asked, because you know they're gonna wear the peanut butter thick as hell, but nobody gave me no milk, but it was all right. So that's it. So whenever you're talking about whenever you're talking about those scenario-based questions, tell me about a time where you were faced with a challenge. Tell me about a time where, you and a coworker didn't get along, whatever. You always want to think about the situation, the task at hand, the actions you took, and what was the results. All right, so now I'm gonna be a little bit more serious. Okay, so tell me about a time when you and a coworker didn't agree on something. The situation was I was working on a project, working as a project manager. Always talk about whatever your role was, okay? I was working as a project manager on a team responsible for developing a new software application. One of my coworkers, who was a senior developer, had a different approach to solving a particular technical problem we were facing. The task at hand was to come up with a solution that would be efficient and cost-effective while also meeting all of the project requirements. Believe it or not, you're probably saying, well, this is a lot. I promise you, when they're asking you this stuff, the STAR method is really what you want to do. You want to talk about your situation and put yourself there. You want to talk about the task at hand because they want to know, what was you working on? What was you doing? They want to be able to visualize as you're telling this story. The actions. I began by discussing the problem with my coworker and trying to understand his perspective. I listened to his proposed solution as we both shared our concerns. I proposed a different approach, which we agreed to both do some research on. After gathering more information and comparing the pros and the cons of each approach, I organized a meeting with the entire team to present and discuss both options. We came to a decision together and implemented together with the team. Always remember, whenever you and a coworker is not getting along, it causes disharmony within the team. And then it can throw you off track to what you need to do as a team together to get to the end goal. And that is to get the end clients what they are asking for. But whenever there's disharmony, there cannot be a resolution. There has to be. I'm not saying that y'all got to go for drinks afterwards, but y'all are going to have to get on one accord. You are. And I'm not saying that you ain't gonna never get into it with nobody, because I promise you, there's always different personalities, no matter what. Someone may be more strong personality and more will than you, and they are not afraid to speak their mind, especially in these meetings. Okay. So I'm not saying that you,
The drinks help.
So I'm just saying, like, you want to make sure you tell your story. Whenever you're talking about these scenario-based questions, you want to talk about it. Tell me about a time where the project manager or the end user did not like your project. Well, what was the situation? What did you have to do? What was the task? What actions did you take to fix it? And then what was the results once you fixed it? Does that make sense? So by working together and coming to a compromise, we were able to find solutions that met all the project requirements and also incorporated some of the best implements for both approaches. The project was delivered on time and within budget and received positive feedback from the client. The experience also helped me to develop my problem solving and negotiation skills and strengthen my relationship with my coworker. Okay. So my thing about it is that this is how you're going to talk about it. Whenever I went on my interview, this is exactly what I use. I always use the STAR method. As long as you have a situation, the task at hand, the actions you took, and then what was results of it, you'll be able to answer those scenario-based questions. All righty. Let me make sure this makes sense then. Okay.
Yeah, I'm glad you actually brought this question up because you know, the group you meet with Wednesday, yeah. On my team right now, like we kind of having like kind of different feelings about how we should go about a process in the project. So
there you go.
It's nothing bad, but
yeah, but you're always gonna think my way is better than your way, or we should just do it this way. But my thing about it is that you just have to come together, because like I said, as long as you're not on the one accord, you're not going to be able to get that project in on time. And my thing is that when you don't meet deadlines, that's one sure way to get yourself fired. Okay. Deadlines are important. So that means you got to put your differences aside and say, hey, okay, well, listen, I'm not budgeting and you're not budgeting. So let's figure out what we can do in order to get this together. I'm not saying that my way is right. I'm not saying your way is right, but we got to come to some kind of agreement. Again, Davion, I'm not saying that y'all going to be friends and y'all going to be buddy-buddy when it's
No, cool. It's not a big deal.
No, I know. I'm just saying when you get in the field, you're not, I'm not saying that y'all going to be buddy-buddy. But what I'm saying is that just figure sometimes you're going to have to be the bigger person and be like, what is it that we can do in order to come together? Because we're not going to be able to get this out on time if we don't fix this. And every day you don't meet deadline, that's every day we're over budget.
Right. That was well said.
Okay. And if that means if we're over budget, guess what we're going to start doing? Budget cutting. So guess who gets paid the most? All right. Okay, my SQL developers, my ETL people. Okay. You out the door. Okay.
Mika, do you remember like a conflict you had on a data analytics project, maybe between a reporting person and a data engineer? Because I would like to have like an example of something you can mention, because this is high level. Do we need to just stay high level, or we would give?
The thing about it is like, if they said tell me about time when you're a coworker to get along, I mean, it could be about, like I said, it could be like it's just said right here. Like maybe what I was suggesting didn't agree with what he was suggesting, and we just came together. That's pretty much all you have to do is just say, hey, we ended up going to the side, talking it out, figuring out what we needed to do to fix it. Like it doesn't have to, you don't have to dissect it down to the bone, I promise. My thing is that I never really got into it with anybody. Like my thing about it was there was this one chick who did not like me, but that was on personal levels. That wasn't for anything that I done. We never even really worked together. She was QA, so we never worked on anything per se together. What my friend, she had bad credit. Like
she was hating.
You know, so she should have you know. So, but that's just me. You know what I'm saying? Like. So I don't really have anything personal, but I mean, if you need to, you can use this. Like, tell me about a time when you're a coworker and get to work together, you can use this. You can talk about a time where, if this question was come up for me, I would probably say, every every 2 weeks, we have what we call our IT department's team meeting. And this is where the entire team all comes together. Us as developers, the business analysts, the IT, the QA team, and the data warehouse people always come together. And this is pretty much where we talk about what we've worked on and then what we've accomplished for, like, you know, within that 2 weeks. We're not talking about blockers or anything like that. This is just what we've accomplished in 2 weeks, or what we see is about to go live or whatever within the next week or so. And so it seems like, and so my thing about it was that it was my turn. This is my task. This was my turn to get up and to talk about all the things that I've accomplished within the 2 weeks since we've met, and what are some of the things that I felt like went really, really well in our reporting department. So the issue is that I had a coworker that every time I got ready to give an update, she questioned every single thing that I'd done. And I don't know if it was just to see if I was in, you know, to make it seem like I was just incompetent or whatever, but I know that I'm really, really good at what I do. So I've always was ready. But it was the fact that I just knew it was coming. Like it was getting to the point to where it was starting to become very personal. So what I ended up doing, this is my action. So what I ended up doing is that after the meeting, this one particular meeting, I just went up to her, give a name if you have to. I just went up to Dina and I said, "Is it okay if I talk to you for a second? If you have time, can we talk after this?" And she was like, "Absolutely." So we went and I talked, and I felt like, I told her my concerns and how I felt every time she did it. And maybe she didn't mean anything by it, but it was just the way that I felt internally. So I wanted to make sure that we were on one accord, because she could have meant one thing and I could have been taking it another way, but I just wanted to make sure that we were on one accord. Or was it something that I've done that personally, was it something that I've done in the past that affected you personally or anything? Or were you just really concerned about what it is that I do? Do you need more information? What is it in my updates that I can provide to you that will help eliminate a lot of your questions? Like, these are some of the actions that I took. So after speaking, so it wasn't nothing personally, but it was good for me to actually just pull her to the side to figure out exactly where her head was. So that way I can feel better, because again, I didn't come in personal, but I didn't know she was transitioning over to the project management side. And so she was just trying to pretty much learn more. And so it made me come to understand that I need to be a little bit more detailed in my updates and things like that. And so I started asking her some of the actions that I took. I started asking her, what would you like to see more in my updates? And so that way the result is that I felt better. I realized that it was not anything personal. It was just her way of trying to figure out more information. And then again, it helped me to realize that I do need to be more detailed in my updates. And that was my action. I mean, that was the result. Okay. So even though that never really happened, but I'm just saying that's the way I would have to work with it if it was me working with a coworker. Hopefully that answers your question.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Okay. Again, that really did not happen. That really didn't.
I was like, you're a very good storyteller.
Yeah, you made all that up.
Trying to get there.
Wait, Mika, you made all that up.
I did. Literally, I did.
Oh, wow.
You should write a novel. All right. Okay, moving on. So now that I just gave a personal example, I gave you guys a joking example and a more serious example, and then a more personal example. Now it's time for me to see how well you captured this exercise. So don't you turn your cameras off, because I see some of y'all turn your cameras off. So don't turn your camera off, because we're finna go into this exercise, and then after that, we're gonna do our congratulation letter, and we are done. All right, my STAR method exercise. The scenario is, tell me about a time when you took a 5-year-old and a 7-year-old, your 2 kids, to an amusement park, and one of them threw a fit because they couldn't get what they wanted. How did you resolve this issue? Now, listen. This question was asked of me before, and I said, well, y'all don't want my answer because it wouldn't have been legal. So, you know, I'm gonna do 3 people this time. So I'm gonna do 2 groups of 3, and I want you guys to come up with the situation. I've already gave you the scenario, so there's your situation. I want you to give me a task. I want you to give me your actions that you took and what was the results. And nobody can kill their children, okay? That's only my job. Nobody can kill their kids. Okay. So, but the thing is, tell me about the time you took your 5 and 7-year-old kids to an amusement park and one of them threw a fit because they couldn't get what they want. Maybe they fell out on the floor. You know, I don't know. We're going to break into a group and I want you to put together a way you would answer this question by using the STAR method. Be creative. You can be funny. You can be however you want. I just love to see some of you guys parenting. Some of you may not even have children and hey, you know, maybe your aunties and uncles. I don't know. It's the thing. We need them to be creative, okay? They're going to be creative. Come back and tell us what they would do if one of their children fell out at the amusement park. And we're going to talk about, maybe it's okay for you to give your input on what you would do. Again, nobody's going to kill their children, but it's okay to talk about what you would do, okay? All right. And so I think it's funny to see how people you know, take on different types of situations, because how I may handle a situation may differ from another person, how another person may handle the situation. Okay, so you know, that's just me. I'm going to pin you and make you spotlight for every. There you go.
Okay. All right.
The floor is yours. Go.
Okay. So it was the last week of summer and we decided to go to the amusement park with my daughter, which is 7 years old, and my son, that is 5 years old. So we were having a lot of fun and it was almost time to go home and we only had time for the last ride. So you know how big sisters are, they're always like bossy and they always want to like decide for everything. But my son is also so stubborn. So for the last ride, my daughter was like, I really want to go to the roller coaster, but my son was like, I want to go to the Ferris wheel. They were fighting so bad, but you know what? As a mother, like it was only us three. So I was in charge of both of them. I couldn't go with either of them. So we all had to go together. So I was thinking like, what should I do? How should I like make them both be happy? So I started talking to them and I was like, okay, so in this situation, maybe we can do something. So if one of you decides for the ride that we want to go, the other one can decide for the dinner, so where we can have dinner. And they were like, they were just thinking because like during the day, they were like, one of them was like, I want to go to the In-N-Out, I want to have hamburgers. The other one was like, no, I want to have pizza, let's go to Pizza Hut. So I was like, okay, now this is a good situation. So either of you can decide for the ride and the other one can go for the dinner. So my daughter was like, okay, I will like, if we go to the roller coaster, then I will listen to my brother, like whatever he said. So we went to the roller coaster and then we had In-N-Out and they were both happy at the end. Thank you.
Good job.
But I have no kids.
Well, you got no kids. Gotcha. Okay. But that's not a bad idea. I mean, because that could actually work. You know what I'm saying? Because to me, that would have turned into another situation. Then next, you know, both of them won't want to choose. No, we'll choose your ride. We'll choose dinner. Now it's a bigger situation for me, Chad. But I get it, girl. Yeah, that worked. All right, good job.
Okay.
Good job.
Thank you.
So you did good on the situation. You talked about the ages for your kids or whatever. You talked about how you was a single mother. So it was just you three. So you talked about your challenges that you had to face, because normally when you have two people, like the parent, the mother, and the father, one can go with one child, the other can go with the other. But because you're saying the challenge that you faced was the fact that it was just you three. So you came up with a solution. These were the actions that I took. And then the results was, you know, they both were happy in the end because one chose one of the other. Perfect. Good job. So you did that lesson very well. Good job. All righty. Group number one.
Group number one.
Where you at? Huh?
Okay, I'll be telling the story. Yes, it was in the last week of December 2022. So I have two sons, one 7-year-old and a 5-year-old. And it happens that one of their relatives had a birthday party. So we decided to take them to the birthday party. They had their jackets on and it was a kind of in a public place, right? So in the birthday party, there were a lot of sugary stuff served. And in our house, we have a rule, we limit the amount of sugar we give the kids. Remember, they have school, of course, the next day they have school. So they took the first ice cream, and after about 15 minutes, the little boy, the 5-year-old, wanted another ice cream. But his elder brother, who was looking out for him, said, no, you know, mommy don't like us take plenty ice cream. So the big boy, the 7-year-old, came and reported to us. So the little one was furious, was angry. He started kicking on his elder brother, you know. So we tried to make him stop, ask him to stop. He refused. He took off his jacket and threw it on the floor, and threw his jacket on the floor. So it's a cold day. He's taking ice cream, and now he's taking off his jacket. So we tried to calm him down. I called him and talked to him and tell him the reason why he should not have ice cream. He has school in the morning. He needs to sleep on time so that he wake up on time and not be sloppy and sleepy in the morning. That didn't work. So the next thing I did was to say, okay, if you don't stop, right, I will have to take away your screen time for 2 weeks. So when I made the threat of taking away his screen time, he was able to gradually calm down. That was how the situation was, you know, settled.
Hit him where it hurts, huh? He said, I ain't got to beat you. I just take away your screen time. Good job. Good job. Don't feel bad. I do the same thing with my child. Oh, okay. Give me your controller. You can't play no video games then, huh? Okay. Gotcha. Or I take away your debit card. Give me your debit card. Yeah. Bet you ain't shopping on Shein today, are you? All right. Good job. Good job. That's why that was uncalled for. That's what he said. All righty. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a vote. And before I provide the results, we're going to talk about what we feel like both of them did well, and then how we felt like they can improve, okay? All right, so before we share the results, okay, we're not going to take too much time because I got about 30 more minutes, and then we're going to do this congratulations letter. We done. Okay, so and anybody takes that off mute and talk, and I don't care about that. So tell me what you felt like both teams did well.
I think Malika did a good job at creating a picture. I could see what she was saying vividly while she was describing it. So
same. I think she started well. I think Chukwu started well too, but Malika's story was kind of more vivid. You know, Chukwu's story was kind of a little more abstract. You know, hers you could see a little more clearly. She went into detail. More in depth as far as her challenge and how she came up with a game plan to solve it or get over that hill. You know.
Anybody else?
She had a great storytelling skills. She was step by step. First told us what was the situation and came up with a solution and how she went about with the solution. So it was very good storytelling.
All right. Anything that either one of the teams could have done better?
I think OK team should have stick to the amusement park, because the theme was you guys went to an amusement park, but it didn't mention any amusement park.
Just related the actual situation, task, action, result to each of their steps, rather than letting us do it for ourselves.
Okay. All right. So the whole point of this lesson is you guys kept saying that how Malika you were able to see vividly like what she was talking about. You probably can picture yourself there at the amusement park, seeing her talking to both of her children and that kind of thing. She acknowledged what her challenges was as well as okay. He acknowledged what the problem was. He said, hey, I had to talk to him. Listen, you need to do this, you know, da, da, da. So I get it. So my thing about it is that, yes, I felt like both of them did a wonderful, wonderful job. But the whole point of this lesson is allowing the person who's interviewing you to be able to see the scenario, to see the situation that you went through at your current job. Don't give just some random answer. Oh, well, you know, I don't really have any problems with any of my coworkers. I get along with all of them. So honestly, I really don't know how to answer that question. You wouldn't say that, because my thing about it is that even like I told you, even though I never faced that problem, come up with something off the dome, but make it to the point to where they can picture themselves there. So the more information, the more detail, the more background you give, the more they can see themselves working in the same environment as you and actually being in that situation. And that's the whole point of these scenario-based questions. So when they're asking you, tell me about a time where this happens, tell me about a time where that happened, think about a star, think about the star, and make sure that you make your story very vivid to the point to where they can visualize you really being in that situation. And that was the whole point. Okay, it may not have been as exciting as the peanut butter and jelly, but I still wanted you guys to be able to see how certain people will take different scenarios and how you can see one person, even though they're telling the same story, even though they both have the same situation, you guys saw something totally different between the both of them. Okay, all right, here are our results, and the winner of this exercise is Malika's team. Good job. You guys did great. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. All righty. Good job. I'm proud of all you guys. See, don't let me know. Y'all be listening. Y'all be listening. So, like I was saying, I'm gonna share my screen one more time, and then I'm gonna do my last little exercise, and I'm gonna let you guys go. So so you all will get a document for the scenario and all of that for the star. So you'll get a document. So you get this handout as well, and then you'll get the one for the star. So, all right, last but not least, this is something very, very personal for yourself. So what you're going to do, my great, wonderful friends, is you're going to write a congratulatory letter to yourself. So this kind of goes back to what I had said to Davion earlier. My mom used to tell me this all the time. You have to be a pretty poor dog if you can't wag your own tail. And it took me a long time to understand what the heck that means. My mother is a person who never, ever, ever gives me a straight answer. I can say, Mama, is today Monday? And she, instead of her saying, yep, which is a very easy way to answer the question, I can say, Mama, is today Monday? And she goes, all day. It was too much for you to say, yeah. It was just too much for you, wasn't it? You know, it was too much. Or she'll say, Mika, did you do so-and-so? I'm like, and she'll go, girl, you'd rather climb a tree to tell a lie than stay on the ground and tell the truth. That's my mama. That's my mama. And look, David, he's still trying to catch it. Wait, what'd she say?
No, that's just funny.
So that's my mother. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm like, she'll say, how you feeling? I said, Mom, how you feeling today? Fine as frog her. Well, Mama, frogs ain't got hurt. Exactly. Okay. So that's my mama's a trip. Okay. It's like, if you think I'm crazy, see my mama on 10. Okay. That's my mother.
Mika,
So,
country.
Yes, I'm from East Texas, so I'm country.
Oh, yeah, me too. Yeah.
So what you're going to do, my great wonderful friends, is you're going to write yourself a congratulation letter. That's what you're going to do. And that's going to be something very important for you. This is going to be for you to write to yourself. When you get when you get your offer, read this letter to yourself, to your kids, to your family, whoever. But I just want you to be proud of yourself. Y'all ever seen that, what is it, that WGU commercial where them people, they be graduating from college and them, that bus come through and give them their diploma and they be like, I did this for my kids, you know, like, so my thing is that I want y'all to be like that. Like when you get that congratulation letter, like I remember the first time I got mine, I framed mine. And then I realized, wait, this got my annual salary in here. Let me take this down. So yeah, so my thing is that I want you to be proud. So when you write your congratulation letter to yourself, I want you to read it to yourself. Because this is all the hard work that you've done. Again, your life is whatever you make it out to be. And you being here at Colbert is telling me that you're willing to do whatever it takes for you to make your life better than what it is. Okay? Because, and I hate when people get to the end and they're like, oh, well, I need to quit or I'm finna leave. Well, if it was easy, everybody would do it. Like, you know, I would love to be a doctor. I would love to go and cut somebody up. But listen, I don't have time for malpractice insurance and I just don't. You know, they'd be like, I told you to take out the heart. Oh, girl, I took out the lung. This food done that. Okay. So, you know, that's just me. You don't have to do this tonight. This is something that I want you to work on for yourself because I really want you to take time on it. Okay. But how to write a congratulatory, this took me a while to actually say that word, congratulatory, letter to yourself for 2023. So you're going to write a letter congratulating yourself on your new career in the IT world for this year. You're not going to get placed in 2024. You're going to get placed this year. And I want every single one of you to set a goal to be placed before the freaking spring gets here. That's what I want. Okay. Start with an inspiring opening statement to open the letter, and then create a theme for the year. Maybe this is your year of transformation, saying no, saying yes. You know how I go to church on New Year's Eve. So every year, I remember when it was like 2007, I was in church and they was like, 7 is the year of completion. I was like, oh, is it? I just thought you just couldn't divide by it, but okay. I mean, so, got it, so that's what I want you to do. Have a theme for whatever it is that whatever your goal is. Okay. So goal number 1 at the earliest, when would you like to be placed? This is going to be one of those, oh, I would love to be placed by I would love to be placed by Easter. Okay. That's in 2 months. So, or 3. Cool. Right. That's realistic. But then goal 2 is like, okay, now what's the realistic date? Okay. Like, I would love to be placed by February 1st. Okay, that's great. Now, what's the realistic date? So now you need to set goal number 2. And then goal number 3 is like, if you don't meet goal 2, what is your absolutely positively, you cannot pass this date? That's what it is. I came into Cold Bear in February of 2016. I came into IPBC by July. And I finished IPBC literally in 6 weeks because I went on my very first interview in August. Okay. So the middle part of August, I remember because it was the first day of school, middle part of August, I went on my very first interview. Okay. So then after that, I said, okay, well, I would love to be placed by Halloween. That's what I said. But that didn't happen. I didn't get placed by Halloween. And then finally I said, I'm for real, I cannot go into 2017 and don't have my offer. Like all my friends who came into this class with me and started to get placed, and I'm trying to figure out what they're doing that I'm not doing because I'm working just as hard as they are. Actually, I wasn't, but I didn't have Netflix because, I couldn't afford it at the time, and I had cable, but that wasn't the point. What I'm saying is that, I had some mean DVDs, and so I would watch those. So that would be my thing. So I realized that I had to get up off the couch and do what I had to do. You see what I'm saying? Like I had to be for real. And so then once I got for real, I was like, I'm not going into 2017. I am not doing that. Still working at this freaking insurance company. I refuse. Because if one more person call me and tell me it was not their fault, I'm going to scream. Okay. So I need to say before 2017, I have to be placed. I have to get my offer. What am I going to do different that I'm not doing now that's going to help me do it? What am I going to do? Because apparently what I'm doing now is not working. So what do I have to change within me to make sure that I meet goal number 3? What do I have to do? And so I gave myself into the end of the year and I got my offer on November the 14th, 2016. Okay. I got it before the end of the year. So I want you, once you figure out what your opening statement is, like, congratulations, Mika, you did it, girl. You worked hard. This was the year of completion, whatever, right? This was the year of celebration, whatever your theme is, make sure you acknowledge it. And then talk about your goals and then print the letter, whatever. I want you to print it. If you need to send it to me, I'll print it and mail it to you. Print it. Okay, print the letter, because it's one thing to actually just read it via email, but it's another thing to actually hold it in your hand. Print the letter. Baby, listen, going up there to home, going up there to Office Depot, they only charge for self-print is literally like 35 cents. Listen, I will cash app you 35 cents. Actually 36 cents, because they're gonna charge you, the fee if you get it instantly. So listen. Just go on up there and get it. Just go on up there and do it.
I think the minimum is
so Mika, you gotta cash out for 35 cents.
Listen, I will cash out you 36 because you're gonna take it instantly, so they're gonna charge you a fee. So 36 cents. Okay. What I'm saying is print the letter. Okay, print it and put it in an envelope and place it in a safe place. And remember where you put it, people. Remember where. Okay, Amber Alert. Remember where you put it. So print the letter, put it in an envelope, and place it in a safe place. You can also put it on a vision board. You would like to be that's going to actually be visible Set a calendar reminder on your calendar to open it on the day that you got your offer. So whatever, include the location of the letter so that way you don't forget. So just in case if you still here in 2026, listen, I probably won't even be here in 2026. So you better not be. No, I probably will. But ain't the point. Okay. So another thing last night, but make it a shared experience if you need to. Okay. Oh, sorry. At the end of the year, or it shouldn't say at the end of the year, but by the time you get your offer, read it. Relish in it, dwell in it, applaud yourself. There is nothing wrong with applauding yourself for the hard work that you've done because you've earned it. You've earned it. Okay. Make it a shared experience. Include your significant other, your spouse, parents, children, close friends, business partner, whoever you want to include, and just have fun and get creative. Like, just be very creative with it. Okay. So I created like a basic template for you right here. Here's your example letter. So you just, congratulations, Mika. You've had an amazing journey here at Cola Berry. Just like all of that. Talk about the theme is the year of whatever. And then also, if you want to list some professions that you want to do, like professional stuff you want to do, personal developments that you've endured, relationships that you've encountered while here in Cola. You don't have to, but this is just something you can do. What financial goals are you going to be able to? Emotional and spiritual, how do you feel about it? What friendships did you lose some friends along the way? And what travel plans do you have now that you're making 6 figures? Like, these are the things I want to know. I figure like if you sit there and look at it and you see it, you may actually go ahead and accomplish it. Like, I want to go to Paris. That is my goal, is to go to Paris, and I get to go. But I want to go. You see what I'm saying? Like, the things I want to do for my family. The things I want to do with my friends, yes, I want to go shopping. You know what I'm saying? Like, now I can pay my tithes, because at first I was only giving the Lord 1%. Now I can give him 10 plus 15. So listen, so I'm just saying, what are some of the things that you want to do for yourself? And then your accomplishment goals, New Year's resolutions, personal development, all of that stuff. This, you don't have to use this stuff, but I feel if you look at it, and then even if you look at it every single day and you dwell on it and you talk about it and you visualize it and you see it and you manifest it, it'll happen. Okay? And I'll give this to you as well. So, and that's all there is, ladies and gentlemen. And I want you guys to, like, when you get your offer letter, be like, Mika, I got my congratulations letter. Like, I want you to dwell on it. I want you to appreciate your hard work, because like what you're doing is not for nothing, and it's not. And it may seem like it's a lot of work, but this is your hard work. Okay? That's it. We're done with our workshop. Yay. All right, y'all have a good night.